This is an interface I built to put together the voice and video face emotion recognition systems that we built. I'll directly go ahead and start explaining, and we'll walk through a video demo for this thing. This is the address bar where you put the path for the media file. It could be an audio file, a video file, or a combined, like an audio video file. We hit browse and we can then go select an audio file or any kind of file, like, you know, first I'd do an audio file. This is one from the German database on which I worked with when I was doing the facial emotion recognition. I'll just go ahead and, you know, pick one of these files. Based on, you know, if it's an audio or video or an audio video file, these buttons, the audio settings and the video settings buttons are enabled. Since this is just an audio file, all we have is audio settings. We hit audio settings. It goes to, it picks the frequency at which the file was recorded. It shows that. It shows a silence threshold and a word pause. Like when we hit test, it will process the audio file, do the word separation and the feature extraction. Actually, we don't see the features at this stage though. The threshold is the level, like, you know, this is 10.1 means 10% of the maximum peak. So it's kind of like anything below that is, it's considered that there's no speech. So that's what separates words, and then you look for, and there at least has to be this word pause. It's kind of a number. It doesn't represent anything on. It's not a time exactly, but the gap between two words, the threshold has to drop below 0.1 for at least like 8 processing steps, which if I remember exactly was like, I think 5 milliseconds each. So I would probably say 8 into 5, that's 40 milliseconds. It needs to be a 40 millisecond gap between two. Like the threshold has to be below 0.1 for 40 milliseconds before you could say that these are two separate words. And we could change these levels based on, you know, if you have a longer word pause, you would probably have a lot of these words together into one word. And if you have a shorter one, it's going to pick out each individual peak. So we just go ahead, these are the numbers I figured out by trial and error to be the most reasonably good, so I prefer to use these numbers. I just go ahead and hit OK. It passes all this information into the screen. So this window now, when we hit recognize emotion, plots the words, and then it says words are too short to be classified. This is an error which comes up. It's not always, you know, sometimes what happens is we try to divide each word into 5 segments, but the word cannot get divided into 5 equal segments, and it kind of ends up getting divided into 4 segments. And you have a shorter input vector, which creates problems for, you know, the neural network can't handle a shorter input vector. So it just says that the words are too short to classify. You just go back, change some of these settings, and, you know, you probably hit test again, and we might just come back with a word classification that's and try to recognize emotions. We come up with the same error again. We'll just go ahead, pick another file. But this was kind of, these error catching techniques were used to drop all the errors, because sitting and individually processing each one of those hundreds of files was tedious. So it kind of just dropped all those errors out whenever it saw one, and you just go ahead and, you know, we can see that it's just picked one word up out here. It'll probably come ahead and say recognize emotions. It recognizes this one word, and the WAV file seems to just have one really strong word. You know, it says, what does it say? It's emotion number 3, which I believe is fear. No, actually in the speech it's boredom. It says it sounds like the person is bored. We could do a similar thing with the video files. I'll just go ahead, pick one of the video files. I think 45 is an old version, so I don't want to do it. Right now it's reading the video file. Okay, now we see, since this is just a video file, all we have is video settings. We hit video settings, we go into another window where we could tweak the thresholds and everything. Resize kind of like the rotator so we can rotate it and make the image, horizontal, like upright. Like in the previous video we had the image horizontal, so it helps. Crop, we could make sure that like we crop the image so that the face is always in the center. For these, I would guess the numbers would be something like that. Yeah, we could scroll down the video to make sure that the face is always inside the crop region and it never goes out. And then hit crop. We then resize this thing to 256 by 256. We get this error message when the height and width are not equal, and in which case, if the image is a bigger image, an uncropped image, you could probably get the face completely skewed. So it's just to make sure that the user knows that the face might go askew. I'd select manual face region and manual point selections for the initial frame, and then we can do automatic point selection later on. I just hit test frame. At first I'll select the face region. So I'll go ahead and select the face region and then pick all the feature points in the face. I will now go ahead, change this to automatic, so the feature point selection is automatic, and then hit test video. It's not going to run through the whole video to do the feature point. It's going to pick feature points for each face. All we have to do is like wait and watch. I'm just going to do this in the meanwhile. I just probably skip this thing. I'm running short and tape, so I'll pause this thing for a while. Towards the end of the automated feature point selection. Once this thing's done, it just hit, this thing's done. These are all the threshold levels so that we can adjust the threshold in case the feature points, while you're going through the video, they're not selected right. You could adjust the thresholds, rerun through the whole thing. We hit save setting and the window is going to close. All the settings are transferred onto this window. And then, like before, we just hit recognize emotion. So this thing's going to plot the face, the neutral frame that we selected, and this is the emotion on the timeline, like this, starting from 0 seconds up to over I'd say up to probably 2.9 seconds. That's how long this video was. And if you look over time, we can see that we can look at each emotion over time. This is angry, disgust, fear, happy, sad, and surprise. And we see this happy is pretty consistent. It's consistently very high. It goes high initially and is there right up to the end of the video. And even if we go back, hit video settings, and we can go back and see where the video was. You can see the user goes to happy at like 0.48 seconds. It shows here. That would be the peak when happy started, and if you look at the video, it's there all the way up to like 2.4 seconds. It starts dropping. We can see happy dropping over the timeline. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the emotion recognition system. Right now I've just done individual voice and face, but if I had a combined file, I could probably have done that. Thank you.